I know where they are.
So I thought I might talk about what is the picture that we want to put ourselves back into. And the title was, is it a selfie, a landscape, a black comedy, or a disaster movie? I thought about those categories very quickly when I was trying to come up with a title. Is it a selfie? Well, I hope not. Because the selfie is really the ultimate narcissism, isn't it? Where you take this picture of yourself with something beautiful or some other person with you or behind you or something. I was in Canada recently and revisited Niagara Falls, marvellous place. Here were all these people taking selfies of themselves in front of Niagara Falls. And they would sort of say, it's me that's important, not this absolutely magnificent, majestic, natural wonder behind me. And if we think about putting ourselves back in the picture that way, we're saying, well, here we are, we're community workers and, you know, we're out front. I don't think that's what we need to be doing at all. No, those are sort of still pictures. I think our picture is moving. The picture that we're trying to get ourselves back into is a moving picture, and it's moving pretty quickly as we think about the environment that we're working in. People have said today how different things are now from what they were a year or two ago. Change of government and so on, suddenly the environment's different. How long is it going to be like that? It's going to change again. Are we going to have a difference in federal government policies? Is the economy going to crash around us? It's a moving picture, and we're not putting ourselves into a still picture, we're putting ourselves into a movie. And the two sorts of movies that immediately came to mind were black comedies and disaster movies. Because I think when we look at the world that we're part of, those are the kinds of metaphors that we come up with. It is black comedy, what we have to work in, what we have to live in. You have to laugh because otherwise you get depressed. When we look at the world, when we look at the organisations we work in, and so on, when we look in amazement at what's happening. The bizarre managerialism that we all have to cope with, all the KPIs and job descriptions and boxes you have to tick and all the rest of them, seems to me are designed to emphasise the least important and ignore the most important from a community work point of view. And people say, oh yes, they're games we play the games, we tick the boxes, but we actually find ways to do what we have to do anyway. It's kind of bizarre really when you think about it. It's comedy, but it's also black because the consequences are so awful of the kind of world that we live in. So, if it's black comedy, how on earth do we react to a black comedy? Well, I think the first step is to realise that it's a comedy and not take it so seriously, but to step outside it and to learn to laugh at it. There are many things that I think we can learn from Indigenous people when it comes to community development, but one of them is the Indigenous sense of humour and the Indigenous ability to laugh at almost anything. By laughing at it, we're able to step outside it and look at it. We can be like Monty Python, can make the world seem so stupid that you actually start to think about alternatives. So I think laughing is important, and it helps us to have some fun along the way as well. I think we do need to be constantly making fun of the crazy things that happen to us and the crazy things that we're required to do in our workplaces. Because thinking about it as black comedy also helps us to realise that it's only transitory. It can't last. This bizarre world, this Kafkaesque world where there's such a disjunction between what everybody is saying is important and what we know really is important. It can't last, it's unstable, and it's actually much easier to think outside the box when what's happening in the box is so crazy. So let's think outside the box and let's use the craziness in the box to recognise that there has to be outside the box thinking.